Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Money and Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Sheryka Alford, and she is.
Anntricia Bray Smith. Yeah.
And we are here to help provide motivation to get out of debt, build wealth, and transform your outlook on life. Today, we're going to talk about seasonal affective disorder, or most commonly known as seasonal depression, and kind of go over what that looks like and how that relates to your finances. As we know that building wealth or having wealth is not just about money, but that's also about your health as well, whether it be physically, emotionally, or mentally. It all coincides together. So today we want to just kind of chit chat about seasonal depression and what that looks like, and maybe offer some tips of ways that, if you suffer from that, of things that may help you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is one of the things that, we take so for granted. Because we don't understand, how does our emotional wellness, how does our mental health and wellness uh, tie to our finances? How is that impact? Well, one thing, that we are complex being. We are not one dimensional. So everything that affects us impacts everything else in our lives. And so
Hmm.
I know that some of you may at this time, with the stress of the holidays, with the stress of the pandemic, and the uncertainties of what our jobs are going to look like, uncertainties of whether or not we have our family covered uh, with the necessary coverages that we need in preparation for the unexpected. It can bring on some emotional um, ties. It can actually even re-trigger some of the things that we feel like that we've already overcome um, as the warriors that we are. I can say, because women, we're so resilient. We wear so many hats and so many roles. We have so many demands imposed upon us that sometimes we just go through things and make it look like it's so effortless, when really we're suffering. We're just trying to keep our head above water. And so the holidays are no different. Seems like the emotional strains, the emotional ties that we have are heightened during the holidays. And now, when you add the uncertainties that we have on top of that, it just brings up these issues to a whole new level.
Yeah, and I know, and when I was reading up on this, it pinpoints that there are actually two different types of seasonal depressions, which I personally was only familiar with like the fall, winter, but I guess there's also a spring, summer sad also, which I did not know about. But the fall, winter is more common, and I know, like, for me, I, me personally, fall, winter time. I love the fall, the winter. I love all the things. The fuzzy socks, the hot drinks, the sweaters, the scarves, the holidays. That's me. But I realize that that's not the case for everyone. Um, However, during I, our state, we change our clocks. There is a time change. Now, some states don't change their times, and I wish we would stop changing our time. But during the time when we have that time change, it kind of made me, I wouldn't say I was depressed because of the time change, but I felt differently. Um, because what I later realized is I was trying to make my internal body clock switch to something that was not normal. And so I felt kind of, I don't know, maybe I was fatigued or low energy. I don't know exactly what it was, but um, one of my work friends suggested that, hey, even though the time changes in our area, keep your same schedule. Don't change your personal clock. And a couple of years ago, I started doing that. I wake up the same time and keep my same schedule, even though everybody else in the state of Oklahoma, they're an hour behind me. But by me keeping that time, it helped. So that's just, I mean, I know with the days getting shorter and not as much daylight, that does have an impact on some of us. But for me, it was just that whole going to bed and waking up messed with me.
Well, absolutely, and even with just temperatures changing, it
Mhm.
can be enough to impact somebody emotionally. Um, Not being able to be out and be as active as you would like, as
Mhm.
we do during the summer months. So there's so many things that can impact us. Not only that, it's the holidays, times where we're supposed to be happy. Well, when you get to thinking about factoring in the loss that we've had over the not only this year but over the years past, the loss, we're losing our loved ones, we're losing our kids, we're losing our families, close friends, and sometimes traumatically, sometimes all of a sudden, and just reliving that, not having them for the holidays. Then you look at the financial situations to where you have these single parent families, a lot of times that are already strapped for cash, and now with the holidays approaching, how they're going to afford this, how they're going to make this happen and pay the bills and pay the rent and things like that, to make sure that their kids have just the basic necessities of what they would like to have for the changes uh, that are coming up. So, so much, I think that the difference between the fall sad and the spring sad is just the fall. Everything around us is dying. The leaves on the
True.
trees and things like that are dying out. So um, we don't notice things as prevalent as we do in the spring, where everything is growing. The grass is getting greener, the leaves are coming back on the trees, everything is coming to life. And yet, here we are dealing with all of these different feelings of sadness, depression, anxieties, worry, stress within us, and we just cope differently. We
Mhm.
cope differently, and so we notice it more in the uh, fall, in the cooler months, because we compensate more. We find ourselves um, self-medicating in the indulgence of our house. A lot of times it's getting dark uh, sooner, so uh, we're spending more time with the curtains pulled back and things like that. We're eating ourselves, we're gaining weight. You know what I'm saying? We're
Mhm.
eating more of those comfort foods and things like that, and it causes adverse reactions. It causes underlying health issues. Many of those high sugary contents that we're taking in, those comfort foods, high starchy, salty uh, foods, we're taking that in, and it's going to have an impact on our emotions. Also, not being able to go out and exercise. Maybe it's too cold, or maybe we didn't have enough time, enough daylight time in our day, and now it's too risky to go out and exercise like we normally would in those spring and summer months. So it really does. It just looks a little different.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, what can we do to kind of help combat this?
Well, I deal with it. So, I mean, first and foremost, I'm not here just shooting the bull with you. I suffered for years. I suffered for years with this disorder. And to me, it was my norm. I considered it to be normal until I became aware and realized that it really wasn't. And I realized that I had to let myself know that it was okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be okay. So
So we have
that's
to acknowledge it first.
first and foremost. Just acknowledge that there's something going on, and whether it's your norm or not, it's not normal. And there is hope. And One of the things that we can do is protect our space. That is everything that we're taking in through our senses. We must protect that. So, in being aware, that means also being intentional. That means, so we have to be intentional about protecting our space. That means um, what we're watching on television. That also means what we're um, the foods we're taking in, the nutrition. Eat green leafy vegetables, drink more water, you know, don't eat as much fried foods, So we want to be intentional about our diet as well. We also want to be intentional about the conversations that we're having. And that is what I protect more than anything. It's just the conversations that I'm having with my loved ones. Because when you're dealing with seasonal affective disorder, you know, that family member, those that you're closest to, they may also be dealing with that. And so the conversation can go negative real quick. And so you want to guard that. You want to start your day with putting good stuff in you, whether that is listening to a podcast, whether that is turning on some motivational speeches from YouTube or something from your favorite motivational speakers, whatever that looks like for you, reading something good. Many of us read in our adulthood, but we're not reading things that feed our spirit. We're reading things that adds no value to our life. So you want to look into finding reading materials that um, add value to you and that protects that sacred space as well. And so that is where I start. That is where I start. Being aware, protecting your space, being aware of your nutrition, and we can't be as active sometimes, like I said, because we don't have the daylight, and getting out to exercise is risky as the it gets dark outside. But we can do something.
Right. And
We
I would say
can do
also try to keep consistent schedules, because this
something.
goes back to like my example with the sleep. Try to keep consistent sleep schedules. That helps. And as far as that's concerned, and I am very bad about not following this rule, but you know how they say you shouldn't have electronics on the hour within time for you to go to sleep. The
Mhm.
phone screen, the laptop screen. Well, I'm working on that. And of course, guys, audience, if you suffer from seasonal depression or any other type of depression for that matter, it's also definitely okay to seek professional help.
Absolutely.
Talk to your doctor, reach out, because they may be able to. I mean, it may be a situation where it's severe. It may be medications at order, or they may be able to just suggest some techniques for you personally that will help you.
Absolutely. And another thing, because I know many people, we self-medicate with alcohol and other substance, and to us, it's just normal. That's another thing when you're dealing with seasonal depression and anxiety and things like that. You really have to limit the intake of the alcohol and substance that you take in, because it does have adverse reactions. Yes, initially, we're probably getting that feeling that, hey, we're on that high or whatever it is, but in the long run, it does have um, adverse effects, and it uh, suppresses our system and our ability to create that serotonin and things like that that we need for a healthy or mental state. So we don't want to neglect that, because we know that this is the time where everybody's self-medicating in one way or another, whether we're self-medicating with alcohol, substance, or shopping, just financially, just splurging our money with no discipline or self-control. So we have to think about that.
Hmm.
For you guys that are just logging on with us, you're listening to the Money and Mindset podcast with Anntricia Bray Smith and Sheryka Alford. Today, we're talking about seasonal affective disorder and how it not only impacts your money, but also your mindset. So we appreciate you joining us, and we hope that we've given some insight on what this looks like and how it uh, affects our life. So, Sheryka, any other information you have that you'd like to share with the audience today?
No, I just want to tell everyone that, hey, you are okay. You really are, and I'm not just saying that. A lot of times, whenever we go through down periods in life, the first thing we think is, "Whoa, oh, it's just me," and it's not. It's, especially in 2020, it's not, and it's not anything to be ashamed of. So if you or if a loved one, may be
Absolutely.
suffering from this, and they're kind of nervous about stepping out to seek help, try to encourage them to get the help that they need. So that's all I got.
Hey, no judgment here. Like I said, I've suffered for years. I'm in a better space now, but it's because I've been intentional with doing the work. And guys, I share my journey through my books. One of the books that I have, Recreating a Better Me, helps give you a little insight of the things that I suffered emotionally, and some of the supplements and nutritional changes that I made to help shift some of the impact of depression and anxiety in my own life and on my own journey. So, nonetheless, guys, it's been good having this conversation with you. Leave your comments, your questions, your concerns. In the section below so that we can communicate and make sure that we're bringing the content that matters to you right to you in real time. Until next time, I'm Anntricia Bray Smith.
And I'm Sheryka Alford.